What if I told you that a car from 1974 priced at just $5,000 could still leave you in awe? Sounds too good to be true, right? But believe it or not, there's a hidden gem from the 70s that might just make your jaw drop. In today's world of modern vehicles with all their advanced features, the thought of owning a classic car, one with history and character, is something few can resist. And when that car is as stunning and powerful as the 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe, well, it's no wonder it still catches the eye of car lovers decades after it first roared onto the streets. Now, you might be wondering what's so special about a car that's over 50 years old? The answer lies not just in its beauty, but in the story it tells. This is a car that represents an era when American automotive design was at its peak, when cars were made to last and designed with passion. The 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe wasn't just another vehicle rolling off the assembly line. It was a symbol of luxury, innovation, and American craftsmanship. Even today, this car carries the soul of a time when driving was about more than just getting from point A to point B. It was an experience. You might think, at $5,000, what's the catch? Well, that's where it gets interesting. For a classic car of this caliber, that price tag is a rarity. There's a charm in owning a car like this, something that speaks to the golden age of motoring, and it's available for a fraction of what you might expect to pay for other vintage cars. By the end of this video, you'll see why this 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe is one of the best deals in the classic car world today, and why it still holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and enthusiasts. Stick around until the end, and I'll tell you exactly what makes this car worth every penny of that $5,000, why it still manages to make heads turn even after all these years, and why this classic might just be your next dream ride. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. So buckle up as we take a closer look at the 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe. You won't want to blink once you see what it's all about. The Mercury Marquis made its debut in 1967 as a luxury sedan, and from the very start it was designed to stand apart. Mercury, a division of Ford, was positioned as a step above Ford's standard offerings, but still below the high-end Lincoln brand. This middle ground meant the Marquis had the task of appealing to buyers who wanted a taste of luxury without the extravagant price tag of a Lincoln or a Cadillac. And in 1974, the Marquis had truly come into its own as a symbol of American automotive craftsmanship. In the 1970, American cars were big, bold, and proud of their size. The Marquis wasn't just a car, it was an experience. At nearly 18 feet long, the 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe was larger than most cars on the road, with a presence that demanded attention. It was built for cruising, for taking long, comfortable drives across highways and country roads alike. Its styling reflected the era's design ethos, clean lines, subtle chrome accents, and a rear end that looked like it could take on the open road with ease. In terms of luxury, Mercury knew how to deliver. By 1974, the Marquis had evolved from a basic full-size sedan into a well-appointed coupe. The shift towards personal luxury vehicles had become a trend in the 1970s, and the Marquis was part of that wave. For many, the Marquis was the epitome of class and sophistication. People didn't just drive these cars, they enjoyed them. They were made for leisurely rides, for those who appreciated the finer things in life, but didn't want to break the bank. This was the appeal of the Marquis, and it was a car that people kept for years. But the 1974 Mercury Marquis wasn't just a pretty face. It represented a turning point in automotive history. It was a time when cars were still designed with mechanical prowess in mind, before the rise of digital dashboards and all the technological gadgets that now dominate our vehicles. Under the hood, the Marquis had a powerful V8 engine that wasn't just about speed, but about comfort and smoothness. It was a car designed to deliver a relaxed, confident driving experience. While Mercury was known for making cars that offered good value, It wasn't until the 1974 Marquis that the brand truly cemented itself as a luxury alternative to the more expensive models of the time. The 1974 Mercury Marquis was designed for a specific kind of buyer, the person who wanted the best of both worlds, the comfort and refinement of a luxury car, but without the heavy price tag of a Lincoln or a Cadillac. For just a bit more than a regular full-size car, you could get something that felt like a true luxury vehicle. And it wasn't just about looks and luxury. The 1974 Mercury Marquis was made to last. Built with strong, durable materials and solid engineering, this car was designed for the long haul. Unlike many modern cars, which often have lifespans of 10 to 15 years, the Marquis was built to endure. The craftsmanship and attention to detail in the 1974 model made it a car that, if properly maintained, could still stand the test of time. The Mercury Marquis Coupe of 1974 had a few notable features that set it apart from its competitors. For starters, it had a more refined suspension system than many of its contemporaries, making for a smoother ride. This made long drives a lot more comfortable, as the car absorbed the bumps and uneven surfaces of the road with ease. The seats, often covered in soft leather or plush fabric, were designed to support you during these extended journeys, making every trip feel like an experience rather than just a drive. Another defining feature of the 1974 Marquis was its styling. Mercury had a unique touch when it came to design, and the Marquis Coupe silhouette was nothing short of eye-catching. Its sweeping lines and classic squared-off rear end gave it a powerful road presence. Whether parked on a street corner or cruising down a highway, the Marquis had a distinctive look that instantly set it apart from other cars of the era. But why does this car, and specifically the 1974 version, still hold such a strong appeal today? The answer lies in the perfect combination of comfort, style, and performance that Mercury managed to capture. The 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe was a standout during its time, and it continues to turn heads today, especially for those who appreciate the golden age of American automobiles. Even though the world of cars has changed dramatically since then, there's something timeless about the Marquis that continues to resonate with car lovers. In the mid-1970s, American car culture was still thriving with full-size vehicles like the Mercury Marquis representing the height of sophistication. This was an era when the muscle car was at its peak, but so was the luxury car. The 1974 Marquis, with its massive size and plush interior, was made for those who didn't just want speed, they wanted class. And while it may not have been as flashy as some of the muscle cars of the era, it made up for it with its sheer presence and refined style. For today's buyers, the 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe offers something that's both nostalgic and unique. In a world of mass-produced cookie-cutter vehicles, the Marquis stands out for its individuality. It's a car that tells a story, one of craftsmanship, luxury, and the freedom of the open road. And for those of you who have a love for the classics, there's something incredibly special about owning a piece of automotive history. When you drive a car like the 1974 Mercury Marquis, you're not just driving a car, you're driving a piece of American history. So, whether you remember seeing these cars on the road when they were new, or you've just discovered the charm of vintage cars, there's no denying the appeal of the 1974 Mercury Marquis. It represents a time when cars were made with care, style, and a true sense of craftsmanship, a time that's long gone, but still cherished by those who love classic cars. And if you're lucky enough to find one today, especially at that $5,000 price point, you've stumbled upon something that's not just a car, it's a piece of the past that's waiting to be enjoyed once more. Now, let's get to the heart of the matter, the price. In today's market, where classic cars often carry a hefty price tag, the idea that you could own a 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe for only $5,000 might seem unbelievable. But that's exactly what makes this car such an incredible find. A classic vehicle like this, with its rich history, stunning design, and powerful engine, is available for a fraction of what you'd expect to pay for other vintage luxury cars. When you compare it to the typical asking price for cars from the same era, especially those in similar condition, the $5,000 price tag becomes even more impressive. But how does a car like this remain so affordable in today's market? To understand this, we need to dive into the current state of the classic car market. Over the last few decades, prices for classic cars have skyrocketed, especially for models that are considered rare or iconic. Vintage Mustangs, Camaros, and Corvettes from the 1960s and 1970s can often fetch well over $20,000 or more, depending on their condition. So when you find a full-size luxury car like the 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe at just $5,000, it's easy to see why it's such a hidden gem. One reason the price of the Marquis Coupe remains so reasonable is that it hasn't yet reached the same level of widespread demand as some of its muscle car counterparts. While muscle cars like the Ford Mustang or Chevy Camaro have long been the favorites of classic car collectors, the Mercury Marquis has always been more of a niche vehicle. This has helped keep the price lower, even as interest in vintage cars has grown. However, this could very well be changing, and we might be seeing the beginning of a rise in demand for these kinds of classic luxury sedans. There's also the fact that the Marquis Coupe is often overshadowed by its more famous counterparts in the Mercury lineup. In the 1970s, the Marquis wasn't as widely recognized as the Mercury Cougar, which had its own share of performance-oriented enthusiasts. The Marquis, by comparison, was more about comfort and elegance, with less of the muscle car appeal that tends to drive up prices in the classic car world. As a result, it's been somewhat underappreciated in the years since its production ended, and that has allowed it to slip under the radar in terms of pricing. But for car enthusiasts looking for a vintage ride that offers a true sense of luxury and history without breaking the bank, the 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe represents one of the best values in the classic car market. And for $5,000, you're not just getting a car, you're getting a piece of automotive history that's still very much capable of delivering a comfortable, enjoyable driving experience. When you consider what you're getting for the price, the 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe is a steal. The car's large, powerful V8 engine still packs a punch, and its full-size frame ensures a smooth and relaxing ride. The interior, with its leather upholstery and high-end finishes, offers a level of comfort that's often hard to find in cars from the same period. While other vintage vehicles might require significant investment to restore or maintain, the Marquis Coupe is surprisingly affordable when it comes to upkeep. This affordability is one of the reasons why the 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe is a great option for collectors who want to enjoy the thrill of owning a classic car without draining their bank account. For those who are passionate about vintage vehicles, but don't have the budget to spend $20,000 or more on a restored classic, the Marquis offers a more accessible alternative. Now, let's talk about the potential for future value. While the 1974 Mercury Marquis Coupe may not yet have the same level of recognition or demand as some other vintage cars, its status as a classic vehicle means it will only grow more valuable over time. Classic car prices tend to rise as fewer examples of a given model remain in good condition, and the Marquis Coupe is no exception. As more people begin to appreciate its unique blend of luxury, style, and history, the demand for these cars could increase. And if you're fortunate enough to find one at the $5,000 price point, you may very well be looking at a future investment that appreciates in value.